So this past weekend was San Diego Comic-Con 2022, and while Hasbro did not bring any Power Rangers Lightning Collection items specifically to the convention, we did get some Power Rangers news nonetheless. But that wasn't all this weekend had to offer for Tokusatsu news, as we also had some toy listing leaks for Kamen Geats and the next quarter of Avataro Sentai Donbrothers. So today I'm going to go through all the Power Rangers news we got from San Diego Comic-Con that had nothing to do with the Lightning Collection, and dive into the new Geats and Donbrothers toy listings. So let's go ahead and get right on into this. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Power Rangers news from San Diego Comic-Con. So the one panel we knew was actually going to be happening for Power Rangers, actually officially technically sponsored by Hasbro, but that's just because it's an official part of the property, was the Boom Studios panel that was held on the first day of San Diego Comic-Con. So during that panel is actually when they showed off the Zap Dragonzord in metallic white, which I wish there was footage of that panel. There might be somewhere. I really want to see what the actual reveal looked like, because from our end we just got to see the CNET articles and the tweets and stuff that were made about it. So I'm very curious about that. But this was the Boom Studios panel to talk about not only issue 100, which is the whole charge to 100 thing that the comics have been doing right now. I very much need to get caught up on the comics. I am 4 years behind on the comics. The last thing that I read was Shattered Grid. I have everything in a big box down here right next to me. I just have not bothered to read it, so I really need to do that. But besides that, they have been building towards issue 100, which comes out this September, and I absolutely love the cover of this issue because it just looks fantastic. I love the Space Rangers on there, the Omegas, the Mighty Morphins, but that's kind of all old news. With the brand new news was the fact that we have our new writer for the comics going forward. So as you know, or if you follow the comics, you probably already know, we have Mighty Morphin and we have Power Rangers, two different series of the comics that are going to be merging back together to be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with issue number 100, and both leaving the book at issue number 100 were writers Ryan Parrott and Matt Groom, so we knew that somebody was going to be taking over, and taking it over from issue number 101 is going to be Melissa Flores, and I don't think that there could be a much better pick to be the person that takes over the actual main writing of the comics. She's been heavily involved in the brand, so it's really awesome to see her get upgraded to the main writer of the comics, and I cannot wait to see what she does with them. Even though I am very behind on them, I'm still following the general storylines of them. I see people talk about them on Twitter and stuff like that all the time, so I still kind of know what's going on, even though I haven't personally read it. I buy all of them, I just haven't read it. So I really need to fix that. So issue number 101 is going to come out this October. We've already seen some of the solicitations for it and some of the different covers and everything. I really like the Black Omega Ranger cover that looks like it's a lightning figure in a plastic box. Really like that. I wish we could actually get some Lightning Collection figures of the Omega Ranger suits. They look absolutely incredible, and I really want figures of them. But also what's really cool is that the kind of whole thing with going forward, this is going to be the Recharged era, so there's always a name for the story arcs or the storylines. Right now is kind of the Charge to 100, and going forward it's going to be the Recharged era, kicking off with 101, and we can see here this really cool promo pic of Dark Spectre kind of in the shadows there. So I assume he's going to be some kind of big influence on this arc of the comics, which once again just fuels my interest for a potential HasLab Dark Spectre. I think that that'd be a really cool idea if Hasbro ever wanted to actually try it, to attempt that, and maybe they could and try to tie it together with this or anything like that. That's just wishful thinking. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but it would be cool. However, that wasn't it for Power Rangers comic news at San Diego Comic-Con, because during that panel it was also announced that we are going to be getting a sequel to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover series that happened back in 2020, fittingly named Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Power Rangers 2. Very simple. So we got one picture of this, kind of the base covers of this, or kind of the first cover of issue number 1, and Ryan Parrott is going to be back to write this, with Dan Mora doing the fantastic art as always. So very excited for this. I love the last one. I love the Power Rangers Lightning Collection figures we got of these guys, of the Turtle Rangers. So I think it'd be really cool if we get some other cool designs in here, give Casey Jones something to do, like Ranger-wise or something like that. Bottom line, I think it'd be really cool if we could get Lightning Collection stuff out of this one again, because I'm sure there's going to be some really cool, awesome designs original to this. So I don't know if it's actually been said how many issues it is. I assume it's probably 6 like last time, 5 or 6, probably something around that. And I do believe that it begins this December. So pretty exciting from the comic news of things. But we also had some Power Rangers merchandise to talk about from San Diego Comic-Con, with the first thing to talk about being these Flame Toys Mighty Morphin Power Rangers model kits. So these look definitely interesting, to say the least. So we have here a display of the 5 main Mighty Morphin Rangers, and these are going to be action figures that you actually build. Their model kits. They look interesting. Some of the helmets look a little wacky. But I do think that like the Red Ranger's helmet doesn't look too terrible. It looks better than the Lightning Collection version of it. It does kind of look like, at least based off of pinks, that it looks like there's little notches for the weapons, so I assume you're going to be able to make the Power Blaster. I think for the most part they look pretty solid action figures. I don't know anything about Flame Toys model kits, so I don't know how expensive we could expect these to be. I also don't know how big these are, but depending on the price and depending on the scale, I might pick up at least red. I definitely collect Mighty Morphin red merchandise quite a bit, so I'm definitely down to pick up at least one of these to test it out, see how it is. But I have so many Mighty Morphin figures at this point, I do not need any more, so I will not buy the entire team of these, regardless of what the price of them are. I have the Lightning Collection versions, and those are my definitive versions of Mighty Morphin figures. I'm good with that, but like I said, maybe red just to test it out. But yeah, yet another figure kind of Mighty Morphin if you really need that for all the plethora of options you have out there. Here's another one. And speaking of another one, we also have the second set of Mini-Mates from Diamond Select. So the first set just recently came out, and I did a video on those a couple of months ago when they announced them. So the first set had pink, blue, green, and Alpha 5, and this second set is going to have red, white, yellow, and black. So to finish off the Mighty Morphin team, I think it's a pretty good way that they split it up. So interesting that red was not in the first sets, but still I think this is a pretty good set here. I think what's really cool is that you're going to get some swappable heads for these, for both Jason and Rocky for red, for Adam and Zach for black, and for Trini and Aisha for yellow. So I think that's really cool that they give you that kind of option there to display both versions. We also can see these Dragonzord and Megazord Mini-Mates, or they're not really Mini-Mates, I guess. I mean, they're in that style, they're kind of in that kind of line, but they're obviously a little bit bigger, and they don't have posability or anything like that. They just kind of look like vinyl figures, honestly, of the Megazord and Dragonzord. So we're getting more Power Rangers Mini-Mates there. I would love to see them expand beyond Mighty Morphin. I doubt they will, but at least we have the rest of the team if you collected the first set. And those are only $25, I think, $20, something like that, $25, I think, for the set of 4 of them, and I believe it'll be the same thing for the second set, so I might pick those up for the novelty of them. We'll see. We'll see. But hey, at least you're going to be able to complete the team. Moving on from Power Rangers, we have some Kamen Rider Geats toy listings to discuss from my buddy, the real Matt Hunt. So we have very basic Geats toy listings. That's kind of how this works for Kamen Rider at this point. As you know, in the past, we've just gotten like Link Item A, Link Item B. The most recent Kamen Rider seasons, like Saber, especially Revice and everything, very, very basic. But we have a little bit of an idea here of at least some of the first quarter. This is definitely not all of the first quarter, because the first quarter of Rider stuff should include October and November, and this listing is just for August and September. So of course we have the official reveal of Kamen Rider Geats at this point. So just real quick before we get into the actual listings, I did that video a couple of days ago where his suit had leaked, and since then we've gotten the full reveal of it. We've got this much better poster of an actual suit. He has debuted in the Revice movie as a little cameo, and we've gotten a little bit of leaked footage of his fight and of his transformation. So we know that his base form is now called Magnum Boost, which we've also gotten the name confirmed on this Gomba Rising card that shows him with Ultimate Revi and Ultimate Vice. So right here we have the listings for the first batch of toys, with the Rider Hero Series Vinyl number 1, which is more than likely, or I'm sure almost 100% a guarantee, to be Geats Magnum Boost, which will come out in August, so that makes sense. There's always something early that comes out. Usually it's a gimmick item. I don't think we're actually going to get a gimmick item released early. Like last year it was the Megalodon Vi stamp, the year before that it was the Peter Fantasista Run to Ride book, the year before that was the Flying Falcon Progress Key. So like that happens every year, but it looks like maybe not this time. We also have the Deluxe Belt and Hammer gimmick item, so this could be some kind of combo set with a gimmick item or something, potentially, or maybe just the base set comes with the hammer of the gimmick item, which I don't think we actually have a name of what the gimmicks are called yet, but we do know that the driver is called the Deluxe Desire Driver. We got that kind of in the official press release on that, so we do know that the Deluxe Belt would be the Desire Driver coming out in September for 7,200 yen. And then we have the Deluxe Shield and Arrow gimmick item. We have the Deluxe Zombie gimmick item and holder, which would be our typical item that comes with a holder. You know, get that every year as well. Think of last year with the Eagle Vice stamp with the 2 little Vice stamp holders. That's what to expect for that. We also have Deluxe Rider number 1's weapon, which could be the gun that we see on Geats' arm. That's very potential. And Valve gimmick item, which... okay, so the 5,200 yen for that. And then we have figure number 1 of Magnum and Boost, which would be, I assume, our gimmick item figures of the year. So like Last year we got I don't remember, the remix figures, is that what they were called, for Revi and Vice, where you could actually form the CGI monstrosity T-Rex. Basically the equivalent of like the Rider Kicks figures, the basic figure line that we would get that is actually action figures, I assume is what that would be. So very, very simple stuff here. We do know from the leaks and everything that seem to be correct, since they got pretty much everything for Geats' base form essentially correct, that we should be expecting like 7 to 8 riders for this first quarter, and we don't really have much information on those riders here in this listings, so this is definitely not going to be a complete list yet, and I'm sure we're going to get more information on that very soon. Probably even like today or something. Like, this video could be outdated very instantly, but we do have a little bit of Geats information there, which is really cool because it's going to premiere in like 5 weeks, so we're almost there. So very excited for that stuff, but honestly, I'm probably more excited for the Donbrothers toy listings that we have, because we have some listings for the Donbrothers upgrade of the year, and kind of basically sort of the end of the toy line. We're kind of wrapping up Donbrothers stuff because we're already like halfway through the show. So for Donbrothers, we have the power-up item for Donbrothers is a golden bird, perhaps based on the Grimm fairy tale, and has a threefold functionality. First, when slid into the top of the Dawn Blaster, it gives Don Momotaro and the Senpaiger golden armor. The Senpaiger get chest and shoulder armor, and Don Momotaro has the same as them. Number 2, it can be broken into various pieces and attached to Don Onitajin to create a powered-up form of the Robo. And number 3, it can combine with Don Onitajin and Toradora Ganjin to form what is likely Donbrothers' strongest Robo. So of course we knew a power-up item was going to be happening at this point in the fall. It happens every year, so very cool to get this rumor about it, or not really rumor, I think it's actually a pretty legitimate leak on this one, because Matt said that this comes from his more confident sources, so I'm definitely very excited for that. And we already knew that there was going to be something that could slide into the top of the Dawn Blaster, because if you just look at it, there's like this whole rail system, like right here where the finisher button is, like for something to clearly like slide into. You can even see like the little divot for it there, and we obviously haven't had anything to do that, so clearly something was going to slide into this thing. And then also, I think the rumor for the power-up item was that it was going to interact with the Toradora somehow as well. That, I don't know exactly how it would work, unless it's, I doubt it'd be something to replace the handle, but like that's the only thing that like slides out. So I doubt it's that, but I don't know. I don't really know where it would function with the Toradora, but at least the Dawn Blaster, it definitely makes sense to function with that. It also makes sense to have, or I think it not really makes sense, but I think it's really cool that this could function as sort of a way to give, it makes me think of like the Lights of Orion from Lost Galaxy, or Lights of Ginga is what they're called in Ginga Man, I believe, where like they attach armor to the Robo to power it up. I definitely get that kind of vibe with the references here, or the rumors here about it combining with Don Onitajin and Toradora Ganjin. I think that's really, really cool. What's really, really neat though is that it's going to give the Senpaiger armor. So the Senpaiger, if you don't know what that is kind of Toei's blanket term for the Red Rangers from Gokaiger through Zenkaiger, which they were given that name in the more recent Zenkaiger versus Kiramager versus Senpaiger film. So basically what this implies is that we're going to get power-ups for Gokai Red through Zenkaiser, or at least Gokai Red through Kirame Red, I guess. I don't even know if Kirame Red and Zenkaiser are technically part of the Senpaiger, since they were in the movie on their own and not related to them. I don't know. But basically, think of the team leaders from the last 10 years, essentially, are considered the Senpaiger. So everyone that the Donbrothers turned into team-wise. So I don't know if that would mean that the Senpaiger actually show up. Matt is theorizing it could potentially be kind of a Grand Geo or Decade Complete kind of situation, where like this form will just summon them, just like lifeless, drones basically that have armor, the same armor as Don Momotaro was going to have, and that would be really, really cool. I would definitely really like that to happen, but I would love to know just what the armor will look like. But that's a very interesting idea, to give past Rangers armor with the new power-up. I really like how that would look, and I hope that looks as cool as it sounds. But the last little quick note here we have for this rumor, or for this leak, is that the power-up mode, Don Momotaro's sunglasses become golden and shiny. So I'm assuming that the helmet will maybe look quite similar, because this chest armor is supposed to be like chest and shoulder armor, so it could be a very simple power-up, kind of maybe like a Hyper Toku Ichigo kind of mode, where it doesn't change the suit that much, it just kind of gives it a little bit of armor. I could expect maybe something like that, but maybe his sunglasses turn all golden. Where is he here? Something similar to this, but just a little bit different. I could see that happening with this. And with that, that's pretty much everything that happened in the world of Tokusatsu this past week for the comics for Power Rangers, for merchandise and stuff at Power Rangers at San Diego Comic-Con, and our toy listings for Kamen Rider Geats' first quarter and Donbrothers' fourth quarter. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about any of this down in the comments below. Which brand's news are you the most excited for to see, come to fruition or release or whatever? I'd love to know what you guys have to say about it down in the comments below. And of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or LandingFigPR, and I'll see you all later.